Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody. Well, before tomorrow, there is tonight. Before we decide the world champions, we get to feature the European ones. On the far side of the ground, 3 huge banners have been unfurled from the front of the top tier to the bottom of the first, each one of them depicting one of the 3 trophies that were lifted by Manchester City last summer. New images depicting the historic achievements adorn the walls of this now 2-decade-old stadium, and Manchester City's first home game since completing the treble sees them take on a team that against all odds qualified for the Champions League last season, but haven't won here since the song of the same name was number 1. But Newcastle United's stunning performance on week 1 and City's injury struggles and recruitment rebuttals have led some to believe that for once the two can get something from a trip to the team that are perennial chart toppers. That's the welcome for the champions of Europe, champions of England and the winners of the FA Cup as they walk out onto the turf, a turf covered by a light blue banner with big white letters emblazoned with the words treble winners and a huge Manchester City crest. We see things they'll never see, says one banner away to our right hand side. Well, they were seen once before, but it was a very long time ago. 24 years since Manchester United did the treble. Now Manchester City have done it as well. Manchester City in light blue with white shorts take on a Newcastle team in black and white stripes, and this is how the two teams line up. The home team, Manchester City, with Ederson in goal. A back 4 of Kyle Walker, Manuel Akanji, Ruben Dias and Josko Gvardiol. In midfield, Kovacic and Rodri, with Foden supporting Grealish, Haaland and Alvarez in attack. It may well be that Foden plays on the right hand side and Alvarez goes inside to partner Erling Haaland in almost a 4-2-4 operation when they have the ball. For Newcastle United, Nick Pope is the goalkeeper. In his last 5 visits to the Etihad, he's conceded 19 goals. Right back in front of him is Trippier, Schär and Botman, the 2 centre-halves. Dan Burn is the left-back. Bruno Guimaraes, Sandro Tonali, who was terrific last weekend, and Joel Linton of the 3-man midfield. Miguel Almiron and Anthony Gordon flank Alexander Isak in attack. The benches, well, they look stark in comparison. Ortega Phillips, Ake Gomez, Perrone, Oscar Bob, Cole Palmer, Rico Lewis and James McAtee. For Newcastle United, Martin Dubravka, Jamal Lascelles, Wilson, Ritchie, Target, Barnes, Livramento, Anderson and Longstaff. Trevor Sinclair is alongside me. He scored the winner for Manchester City in the first ever game here against Barcelona 20 years ago this week.
A distant memory, and most Man City fans will feel the same way. Actually, the week before was the curtain raiser at the Etihad, and we played against a star-studded Barcelona. And we won that game as well. So it was a fantastic start to the new home, and what's happened since then has been nothing short of sensational.
Certainly sensational in the last 6 months or so for Manchester City, who, away to our left-hand side, take the applause from their fans, go into a little group huddle prior to the start of the match here. The referee is Rob Jones, the VAR Jared Gillett. Let's hope there are better decisions in this game than there have been up and down the country today in others. Away to our right, Newcastle United in their own huddle, waiting for the return of their captain, who's just gone and done the toss in front of the centre circle. And we're about to get underway with a soundtrack of Blue Moon. Tomorrow we're proud to bring you the Women's World Cup final live from Australia. It kicks off at 11, but we're on air way before that. Natalie and Cass will build up during the morning's breakfast show to the historic occasion. Then we're live from Box Park with Adrian Durham and Faye Carruthers bringing you the best of the action and then the reaction on the Sunday session. We focus on Villa and Everton, West Ham and Chelsea before we take you to Selhurst Park on Monday night for Palace against Arsenal in the Monday night football. More of the time. 450 commentaries this season, so let's get on with another one. Manchester City shooting from left to right, Newcastle in black and white shirts from right to left, and Trevor Sinclair. City have already been held by Arsenal and Sevilla this season. How do Newcastle go about getting something here?
Listen, they've got to work hard, they've got to have a great team shape in and out of possession, and they've just got to have that belief, just not just booming the ball when you win it back. You've got to have that bravery to keep hold of it, or else Manchester City will have 75% of the possession, and it'll become a very, very difficult night without the ball. They've got to be brave in possession, but first and foremost, be humble and give everything for the team when it comes to effort.
Fabian Schär has already been injured and goes to ground over on the far side, holding his left arm. He'd gone up in an aerial battle over on the far side. I think it was with Jack Grealish or Erling Haaland. The ball was Haaland actually, went up with Haaland, and then he landed awkwardly on his right arm, and he bumped into the striking Viking, fell awkwardly on that arm, and he may well have damaged his right shoulder here. Is a bit of a problem for him, and after just a couple of seconds of this match we already have a delay. And Eddie Howe and Jason Tindall, who was name-checked, wasn't he, by Jurgen Klopp in terms of breaking the rules on who stands in the little box.
He's a legend, isn't he, Jason? What a lovely man. Gets involved though. I mean, there's supposed to be only one of the coaching staff in the technical area, and he often wants that to be him.
Well, it is him at this moment in time. The manager's standing back and talking to the technical staff, the physios, over on the far side via some sort of link, and Jason Tindall is passing on instructions to Dan Burn. We only had about 20 seconds, so there can't be much to say.
No, listen, them two have got a fantastic rapport. Obviously had a lot of history at Bournemouth, and you can just see that mutual respect, and when Jason feels he needs to interject and get involved with the players, he does that, and he feels he's got the freedom to do that by Heady. So it's a great match-up and a great chemistry between the two coaches.
Schär being walked off over on the far side, and that will mean just a quick shift around. It means that Dan Burn has gone into the central defensive position alongside Sven Botman, and Joel Linton will operate for the next few minutes at least at left back until they can get
there's a few options in there, depending on whether he comes back on or not. You've got obviously Matt Taggart, who can come in at left back, and
Lascelles who can come in at centre half.
Yeah, exactly. And Dan Burn could go out, could go back into the central area, or Lascelles, club captain for quite a while. I'm not sure, is he still club captain? Because I know that Trippier is captain of the club tonight.
I think he's still club captain.
Yeah.
He just doesn't get to get on the pitch very often. Gordon sends the ball back to his goalkeeper. Nick Pope kicks it clear, or sort of, gives it straight to Walker, and then it's moved down the right-hand side, and Walker's got it back again. A yard or so in from the right touchline. Then it's played centrally by Kovacic into Rodri, and Manchester City have the ball. And we've now played 2 minutes and 56 seconds, but we probably only had ball in play time about 30 of those. 0-0, Manchester City against Newcastle United. It will be interesting, fascinating to see how Eddie Howe tackles this one after taking the game to Villa with a high tempo last week. Offside flag is up against Walker on this near side. I think it'll be slightly different, and Fabian Schär is back on with his shoulder popped back in.
Is that what they said?
That's what it looked like. I don't know if it's true or not. It certainly looked like that was the case over on the far side. We'll get diagnosis on that later.
It's not ideal when you're playing against Haaland, is it?
Not really. Here's Rodri into Foden, who's just dropped deep and picked up a pocket of space just in front of the centre circle. He's swirled the ball out towards the far side. It's collected by Grealish. Grealish 2 or 3 yards in from the left touchline, centrally on to Rodri. What we do hope happens in this game as it continues is that we get more of the goal fest that we usually get with these two. 3 last season between the two. Rodri moves forward, plays it square. Kovacic, and then to Gvardiol. Had a bit of a tough time during the midweek game against Sevilla. Walker on the wide right into Rodri, who just travels centrally, lays it off to Akanji, who's joining in from that centre-half position, and then Kovacic forced back by Gordon. It's a good shake from Newcastle United. Tonali ratting around Rodri, forcing him back into his own half, and they go all the way back to Ederson away to our left.
Yeah, good sticking to task by the Newcastle players. They're not just going in ones and twos, they're going as a team, pressing as a whole team, and he's asking a few questions from the Manchester City players.
A long ball laid up towards Haaland, but there are men around him. One of them is Botman, he nabs the ball for Newcastle, and Byrne plays it upfield. Isak is in an offside position, so can't turn and run after the ball, and it goes all the way back via Ruben Diaz to his goalkeeper Ederson away to our left-hand side.
And that's where
City 0, Newcastle 0.
And that's where Byrne has got to be a lot more careful with that possession. They've just won the ball back, they've been working really hard for the last 30-45 seconds. You win the ball back, you have to try and keep it, and that was a little bit sloppy from Dan Byrne. Try and get hold of it, you've won the ball back, try and give it to a black and white shirt.
Anyone who downloaded the Premier League All Access podcast this week from TalkSport will know that there have been 108 goals in the last 31 meetings between the two. That's on average over 3 a game. Let's hope we get that sort of entertainment value as Trippier wins the ball for Newcastle, far side the right as they look at it. Out wide it goes to Almiron, who attacks the penalty area, plays it into Trippier, who skips past one challenge. The offside flag has gone up though against him. Maybe they just played that a little bit too early.
It's one that you ignore. Almiron's got the ball, Trippier's gone on the overlap, he's gone early. There's quite a decent line from the Manchester City defence. You've got to ignore that run because you should know he's in an offside position, and just recycle the ball and keep that sustained attack. He didn't do that on that occasion.
Ederson under pressure from Almiron, but seamlessly deals with that, despite maybe one or two of the observers breaking sweat. He never does. Ederson, they have won the ball high up inside opposition territory, and then given it away though, Newcastle. And then City have found a way out from the edge of the penalty area out to the right-hand side, and it's picked up by Kyle Walker, who gallops at speed over the halfway line. He's wearing the captain's armband once again for Manchester City in the absence of the injured Kevin De Bruyne. Back out towards Walker once more. Rodri always has his shirt tucked in firmly to his waistband and plays it centrally onto Akanji. Were you a shirt in or a shirt out man?
I was a shirt out. I felt like more free. Just looking at that, the situation down the right-hand side for Manchester City.
Haaland picks it up, turns on the edge of the area, tries to feed Foden, and it's blocked by Botman, and then Joel Linton tries to get it away, but there's just blue shirts everywhere, and Foden's got it back again on the edge of the D with his back to goal, turns it into midfield. Rodri to Kovacic, and they're probing here Manchester City.
Yeah, I'm just interested in the race. Anthony Gordon down his left, he reacted really well to the ball bit being switched to Kyle Walker, got the work in early, and then it was a foot race, and actually I don't think Kyle Walker fancied it, because Anthony Gordon is a very quick player as well, and he forced him to come back and recycle the ball, so good work from the winger there for Newcastle.
Gordon and Tonali both played really well last week, and Gordon was their big winter signing, wasn't he? And I've been watching a bit of that Newcastle documentary, which is doing the rounds at this moment in time, and they were desperate to get him back in January, and they eventually acquired him.
Yeah, there was a lot of noise around Anthony obviously leaving Everton. It was a big move for a young player, quite a large transfer fee. But I've seen him progress. Me and you have seen him progress from when he first made his debut for Everton, and how he's come on, and you know his confidence, and then winning the Euros in 21 tournament for England over the summer. He'll be coming back full of confidence.
He really was good in that tournament. And Trevor Sinclair, former World Cup quarter-finalists, alongside us in the commentary box, watching Manchester City 0, Newcastle United 0, live on TalkSport. We've had a busy day down the country. I was listening to Adrian a little bit early on with Dance and Perry bringing a commentary from the game involving Wolves and Brighton. What a shellacking that was for Wolves. Brighton in great form again, and scoring goals for fun as you would expect them to. They are absolutely brilliant to watch. Our Brighton and Hove Albion,
De Zerbi, special manager, I think. He seems to be getting the right song out of that group of players. They obviously believe in what he's telling them, because the performances this season and to the back end of last season have been absolutely outstanding.
Elsewhere, some shocking decisions at Anfield and at Tottenham, but they did beat Manchester United by 2-0. Fulham lost at home to Brentford, and Liverpool came from behind to beat Bournemouth. The ball is on the edge of the Newcastle penalty area. Alvarez into Grealish, who right-footed brings the ball infield, tries to strike, it hits Trippier, bounces to the far side. There's a trip by Grealish, and Rob Jones is going to give a free kick in the right full-back position to Newcastle United. 0-0 the score, live on TalkSport. Manchester City have been almost impenetrable at home in 2023, Trevor. They've won every match since a draw here on New Year's Eve against Everton, win tonight, and they'll set a new club record of 17 consecutive home wins in all competitions.
Incredible. I mean, I think this is what, when you hear managers talking about controlling games, this is controlling games on a sustained and consistent level. And to have done that and to be equaling or beating the record, sensational, because we know the great Manchester City teams that we've seen over the years, not just under Pep, under different managers over the last decade or 12 years. And for them to be continuing to break their own records is outstanding.
Ball up towards halfway, and it's aimed towards Almiron, and it's gone out of play. And it's Josko Bardiol who throws the ball in from the left touchline, and it's collected eventually by Kyle Walker in the right full-back position for Manchester City. Still goalless on TalkSport. Fight night coming up at 10 o'clock tonight. Tomorrow we've got the Women's World Cup final. It's underway from 10 a.m. tomorrow from Box Park. Looking forward to being there tomorrow with everybody. Adrian will be there, Faker, others will be there. We've got the commentary from Joe Shannon and from Leanne Sanderson. Jen Scalacci will be joining me on the Sunday session afterwards as well to reflect on the game, whatever the result. Great ball out towards the left-hand side, but Alvarez couldn't bring it down, and it broke down as a result of that. His touch just let him down on that occasion, and Newcastle have won it back again on the halfway line. But there was an opportunity to counter and have extra numbers over there.
Absolutely. I mean, it was a great decision to play long, miss that middle part out. You could just see Trippier I wouldn't say trying to cheat, but he'd gone a little bit early to sustain that press for Newcastle, and the defender just missed him out, went straight over the top to Alvarez, and unfortunately his first touch wasn't good enough, and Newcastle were able to win back possession. But great decision making, I would say, by the defensive work for Manchester City by missing that middle third out, because it's so congested in there, and at times you're going to get the ball taken off you.
Joel Linton has given the ball away to Haaland, not a good thing to do, and he's got it back from Foden, who's gone down the left hand side when he can't control, and he loses out, and it bounces off him and goes behind and away for a goal kick. And this is a warning sign for Newcastle United, who gave the ball away cheaply there, and in doing so invited the opportunity for Haaland to break down that left-hand side. He was moaning the other night when he wasn't getting the ball played in behind the defence. Twice already he's had it played in that area and haven't made the most of it.
Yeah, listen, this will happen. Just getting up to the speed of the pitch, maybe not quite there, just took his eye off it, trying to think about the second phase of that move rather than controlling the ball and then looking what's available. But you've got to look at the positions that Phil Foden's taking up in that number 10 position. He's starting to become a bit of a problem for Newcastle, and if nobody gets on him, he is going to start creating opportunities for Manchester City.
He scored against Newcastle in each of the last 2 seasons here, Phil Foden. He likes playing against them.
Yeah, there's rumours Cole Palmer possibly could have gone to Newcastle, isn't there, as well?
Lots of rumours about Cole Palmer and whether or not he was going to move on. I think after Mahrez has gone to Saudi Arabia and left the vacancy on that right-hand side, after Kevin De Bruyne has picked up the injury,
very light.
I just don't think they can afford to lose him. They're obviously not getting Pakistan.
No, Dali Olmo has been rumoured, obviously done really well for RB Leipzig, Spanish international. I think he's the kind of player that Pep would like to work with. But let's see how that progresses over the next, two and a bit weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks to go before the transfer window shuts, and we'll have all the updates on TalkSport throughout the course of the week. Stick with us, you'll find out everything first. Here is Kovacic bursting down the left-hand side, trying to play the ball into Haaland. Again, he's so good at carrying the ball, Kovacic, in tight areas and dragging the team up the pitch. He gives that option to sort of burst through and find a pass for Haaland. If he'd been accurate there, Newcastle are in trouble. City starting to turn up the tempo a little bit. Rodri into Akanji, who's come centrally from the centre of defence, plays flying the ball out towards this right-hand side, looking for Walker. Walker into Foden, inside the area now. Chops back on his left foot, sets it back for Akanji. Left-footed curler towards the far post is too high. It's over the top of the crossbar, and Eddie Howe is going absolutely balmy at Joel Linton for not getting out and closing that attempt down.
Yeah, you've got to get out to the ball, because if that goes in the top corner, there's no way the goalkeeper can save it. A little bit too passive. As the ball gets laid back by Phil Foden, get out to it and try and get something on the ball. He doesn't do that. Fortunately for Joe Linton, the shot, I think, from Akanji was in between a shot and a cross, where he'd seen a bit of movement from Haaland, and he was caught in between two, and it ended up going harmlessly over the bar.
Well, we've played just over 13 and a half minutes on TalkSport, and so far Manchester City have had half chances, nothing more than that. Nick Pope hasn't been called into action just yet. But Newcastle know this is an early test of their credentials, Trevor. Manchester City always have the upper hand against the two. They've won their last 14 top-flight home matches against Newcastle, scoring 48 goals and conceding just 7.
Yeah, they've got a belief, haven't they? I was watching them just before the kick-off, and they went in a bit of a huddle, and you could just see them like all cuddling each other. When you've won something like the treble, it must be an amazing sense of togetherness, and like you can't get beat, invincibility, and I'm sure that's what they were feeling in that little huddle, and they'll be going out to try and prove that now.
Here is Walker on the right-hand side, playing it back infield to Rodri, who's halfway in opposition territory. Kovacic touches it back to Rodri. Rodri onto the halfway line where it's collected by Ruben Diaz, who did have concussion but was involved in the celebrations on Wednesday night.
They're having to work really hard, and you know when you see Newcastle play last week against Aston Villa and how quick they were on transition and breaking forward.
Yeah.
They might not have that kind of energy today, because look how hard they're working off the ball just to contain Manchester City. When they win the ball back, have they got that same fitness and that same energy and intensity to go and break? I'm not so sure you can have that intensity.
City moving them around really well and trying to play the ball over the top for Haaland. There was just a great moment there where Kovacic popped the ball infield and then got it back, looked up, and he saw Akanji make this brilliant run from centre half past the centre forward and into the most advanced position, but no one fed him the ball, and he was a little bit disappointed.
Maybe they've seen his finishing and just thought, yeah, leave that.
Here is Kovacic just in front of the centre circle, lays it off to Diaz, back to Kovacic once again. Haaland's looking to try and run in between the two centre halves as he waits for the delivery over the top, doesn't come, goes back into Akanji. I mean, look, Akanji's played left back, right back, centre half. He's now playing centre midfield, and he could add up and subtract and divide faster than a calculator. Well, I'd probably trust him to do anything.
He's a dream to coach, isn't he? Because he's so intelligent. You give him a position to play, a role to play, and he'll open the book and he'll master it in no time. They're the kind of players you want to coach as a coach.
Look where he is now. He's playing as a number 10.
I know. I think there's a lot of kind of transition in positions.
Fluidity, shall we say.
Yeah.
Here is Walker on this near side as Manchester City beat the press with that fluidity, because they can station anyone everywhere, which is a real bonus for Pep Guardiola, who loves this idea of a team that just sort of morphs into different shapes.
I think we've seen Raheem Sterling do some great things at Manchester City, but Raheem Sterling was an out-and-out winger. I think he wants footballers that can play in any position, and that's probably why Raheem Sterling's time at the club did end, because he felt like he was a little bit a one-trick pony, speed, running behind, but can he play centre midfield?
Isaac, lovely touch to turn past his marker and then run through the centre circle and shift it on left to Anthony Gordon. His blonde hair bobbing as he goes down the left-hand side. A low cross through the 6-yard box. It was absolutely terrific, and it sliced open that Manchester City defence, and it was only the alertness of Akanji coming to the City's rescue that stopped someone from tucking it home. What a chance.
Yeah, great chance. Great wing play as well from Anthony Gordon. I just feel, I mentioned it earlier, the pace that he's got, and it's a little bit undercover really, because I don't think loads of people know about it, but I think Kyle Walker certainly does, and he probably shown him a little bit too much of the line, and he thought, you know what, it's on the weaker side, but I'm going to take that, and he took a touch down the left hand side and put a cross in, and Kyle Walker couldn't get anywhere near it. It's a really dangerous cross. Just a shame that Isaac wasn't having a little gamble there.
Well, Isaac has started the move, hadn't he, by rolling the midfield player inside the centre circle, and I think once he'd popped it off, he didn't expend the energy to get back in the box.
Got to get in the office if you want to get the goals. And he has started well as well, hasn't he? You know, as a player, I feel when he first joined Newcastle, the manager wasn't sure. He's very slight in his physical presence, and he weren't sure whether he could handle it. He's proved that obviously over pre-season, and he's getting a start now. So hopefully we'll see him feature a lot more this season. I'm sure that's what Newcastle fans want.
Well, I think he benefited from a full pre-season, which Eddie Howe loves to instill in his players this year. Injury restricted him last season. I think he missed 4 months of the season with a thigh problem at some stage. Here is Gordon into Joe Linton, then back to Gordon once again.
I think they're the avoidable ones, Sam. When you've had a full pre-season, doing the strength and conditioning, doing all the work that the manager and the sports science staff are giving to you, they give you that workload so that when it gets to the season you can handle the workload, and when it's muscular injuries, I think as a coach, as a team of scientists, you're always going to blame yourself, because they are avoidable.
Here is Joe Linton on the halfway line, playing it out towards Gordon. Back into the centre. Trevor swears by his strength and conditioning, which is why he can run a 5k in 20 minutes and 40 seconds. And why I can't. Here is Almiron down the right hand side, moving up towards the edge of the penalty area, laid into Bruno Guimaraes. It's across the midfield to Byrne, who's joined the attack. Alexander Isak is occupying space just on the edge of the box here. Bruno Guimaraes has miscontrolled it, but they've won it back. Kieran Trippier flicking the ball into the box, away by Diaz, not the best of clearances, and Rodri has to spoon it to the halfway line. Byrne prods it away, and Gordon puts pressure on Foden. Walker comes across and nods the ball into the air. Foden takes it down, and Rodri has broken the lines. Joe Linton gets back, the ball goes high into the night sky, and in the right full-back position as Newcastle look at it, Trippier is there to cover his defence and head it back to his goalkeeper. 0-0.
Yeah, good cover in the space there before the ball came. A lot of pressure on the ball. You could see it was going to be an up and under from Manchester City just to put it into an area. And Trippier, as we know, very experienced player, starts working for that space nice and early, and in the end he earns the right just to make a nice little header back to his goalkeeper, Nick Pope.
It is going to be fascinating how City cope without the influence of De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva, who's been ill for the last week. They managed against Burnley and got away with it a little bit against Sevilla. How will they get on against Newcastle? Almiron into Isak, who's on the edge of the D. He's got a bit of space here, trying to get past the City defence, goes on the outside, then comes back in, gives it to Almiron, step over for Joe Linton to shoot, hits the defender and comes away. I think it was Vardiol who got in the way on that occasion. Sent it out to the far side. One back now by Byrne, high inside Manchester City territory, being chased by Phil Foden. Infield it goes to Tonali. Tonali finding Bruno Guimaraes. There's space on the right hand side for Trippier, and Trippier is furious that Bruno Guimaraes tried to go down the left corridor rather than shipping it out towards the right hand side, where there was an opportunity to try and find Kieran Trippier. Had made a good dart from right full-back. 0-0, but Pep's not entirely happy with the way that materialised.
I think Eddie Howe will be the happier of the two managers. You know, they weathered the 10-15 minute storm, so to speak, beginning of this game. Don't give anything free away or cheaply away in the opening 10-15 minutes. It looks like Newcastle are now starting to grow in confidence and grow into this game. Couple of half opportunities, Gordon's cross, and there we just see Joe Linton's blocked shot. They're getting into it.
If you had told me when I watched Pep Guardiola's Barcelona back in 2010-11
that these are the clips that
Manchester City
was ludicrous.
By the time it was 2023, he was going to set up a team where from a goal kick his centre forward was going to stand 10 yards from the other penalty area in order to occupy one solitary defender, and then the goalkeeper was going to kick it into a channel for him to chase. I would have said you're committing heresy.
Listen, most people was, but he's adapted, hasn't he? He understands this is such a tactical game now, and moving opponents into certain areas so that you have the advantage in different areas. It's almost like a chess match, and I think Pep's proved over the last 3 or 4 years he's the best chess player out there when it comes to coaches.
Yes, at this moment in time he is. It's currently Manchester City 0, Newcastle United 0. The latest odds are available at Betfair, the official betting partner of TalkSport's Premier League coverage, where right now you can get Manchester City to win at 10-11. The Newcastle United victory is 18-5. The draw is 21-10. And don't forget, Betfair are paying out winning bets at the 90-minute mark, with 90-minute payout applies to match odds 90 market or markets with the 90 icon. Just check it out on the website. It's all thanks to Betfair. 18+, begambleaware.org.
I don't mind that, Anthony. You know, the forwards often get kicked about by defenders, and Anthony, I don't think he's done it on purpose, but he's just left his foot in there a little bit. Oh no, it looks a bit nasty. He's gone down the standing leg. I thought it was the kicking leg. He's gone down the back of the standing leg of Diaz, and
he's got a yellow card.
Yeah, it's right as well. I would be very surprised if VAR weren't in the ear of the referee there, Robert James.
Robert Jones, who is the referee tonight, taking charge of proceedings. Ruben Diaz not happy about the challenge.
No, it was a poor challenge.
The fourth official actually is Anthony Taylor. He's explaining to the referee, to the player, the winger Gordon, what exactly was the issue, and then he had to turn around and drag Pep Guardiola off the pitch because he'd taken 4 steps onto the playing surface to have a word with his own players.
Well, it's one of them where you almost can't defend yourself because it's so cynical.
Haaland chasing down the left-hand side. Pope comes out of his goal and nods the ball out over on the far side, and it goes away for a throw-in. We haven't had any of those goals we were promised. Maybe it's because that Manchester City defence in the second half of the season was the bedrock on which their treble tilt was built. Here especially. Here on the right-hand side is Walker, moving towards the edge of the penalty area. Kovacic takes over now and then sends it back to Walker. A chance from the right wing position to cross. Gordon faces him up, so he goes into Kovacic instead. And then Rodri moves it infield to Akanji. Back out wide, poor pass, and it's given to Gordon. So Newcastle United can get away. Guimaraes under pressure from Alvarez. Kick clear by Pope. But Newcastle are not going to get hold of that, so the advantage that was being played by Rob Jones goes back to the foul on Guimaraes. It's going to be a free kick just in front of the D. 0-0. Yeah,
nice and compact there by Newcastle. Patient, not diving in. Good work by Anthony Gordon again. One-on-one against Kyle Walker. Just stay on his feet, getting close enough where he can stop the cross, but not overexerting himself where he could get done on the 1-2 or down the outside. Good discipline from him. And you can see, again, the work's gone into the shape of this Newcastle side, out of possession and making sure they support each other by doubling up.
In that 16-game winning run, by the way, that City have managed here at this stadium, 7 goals they've conceded, and only 5 of those goals in the last 14 of the games.
Sensational.
TalkSport, who bringing you live coverage of Manchester City against Newcastle tonight. Tomorrow the Lionesses in the World Cup final. Monday night it's Crystal Palace against Arsenal. The Monday night football comes from Selhurst Park. Diaz in the quarterback position, dropping it over the top of the defence. Haaland is sandwiched in between Cher and Botman, and the ball jumps up into the arms of Nick Pope, who's wearing bright pink today, fuchsia pink today. Nick Pope.
Titans entry, aren't they? Botman, Shah and Haaland, huge men.
I'll put it this way, I wouldn't want to be in the middle of it.
I was just thinking that myself. Unfair advantage.
26 gone, 0-0. Now this is TalkSport. Ball is wide with Grealish into Alvarez, who tries to poke it forward, cut out by Botman, who came out from the centre of defence to poke it clear. It goes back into Kovacic, and then Rodri, who skates past Bruno Guimaraes, and then into Foden, back to Rodri on the edge of the area. They went to try and play it out wide, but it was too short, and it was cut away by Trippier. But City have got it back again, and Grealish and Alvarez are combining to get it forward. They're midway inside Newcastle territory. Wide on the left is Akanji, popping up everywhere in the early stages of this game. Back from Kovacic to Rodri. Rodri forward towards the right. Walker's made a decent dart. He's trying to keep it in and did so, but couldn't get any meaningful contact on the ball because he was scurrying to keep his balance and stretching to stop it from going out, and it goes away for a goal kick. Quick release out to Gordon. Gordon tries to sprint over halfway. A foul by Kovacic. Free kick. Pep's not happy about it.
Yeah, Gordon's got to be careful there. If he tries to cut that space down before the ball gets to Kyle Walker will make that out-to-him run and try and get the ball inside the winger, which he did there. There was a little bit of zip as it hit the ground, and that's probably why Kyle Walker wasn't able to control the ball, but it's a fantastic ball. Unfortunate not to get the contact, but it's a big warning sign for Anthony Gordon there. Don't get attracted to Kyle Walker too soon. Wait until the ball's on its way and then get out and put pressure on it.
Yeah, a long breaking ball out towards the right-hand side for Trippier. The offside flag goes up. The referee says play on because Grealish has intercepted it.
That was a bad touch.
It was all right, wasn't it? Here's Foden, another good touch, playing it wide. Alvarez bursting into the left-wing position. He's got Haaland waiting in the centre. It goes to the 6-yard box. It's cleared away by Botman, who was in front of the striking Viking, and it's out of play over on the far side and a throw-in level with the edge of the penalty area.
Yeah, great play again. Foden getting in that little number 10 position, getting it on the half turn, sliding in Alvarez down the inside left position. I'm a bit disappointed because Haaland made a movement to the right, to the far post. I'm surprised he didn't make a second movement to then go across the defender. And if he would have, I think he would have got his rewards and he would have scored a goal or at least got a chance. He didn't, and the ball was cleared.
Got a few goals here last season, didn't he? 35 and 26 home appearances last season. It's not bad.
It's not bad at all.
Not bad at all. Only the 52 for the entire campaign.
But you do look at this group of players, and even as far as stretching it to the bench, and I do see that slight lack of creativity in this Manchester City side compared to last season.
Here is Foden down the left-hand side looking for Grealish. Grealish, who might be able to provide that, gets the ball onto his right foot, weaves one way, then the other. On his right foot, he gets the shot away. It's blocked by Trippier. Comes back to his left. He lifts it into the box, headed away by the first defender. Comes to Kovacic, who shoots. It's the back of the midfielder Joel Linton. It repels to the left-hand side. Not that Kovacic is renowned for his goal scoring. 6 goals in 221 appearances for Chelsea. Here is Phil Foden, who's got a better ratio. Shoots, hits the defender once again. Bounces to the left-hand side. It's Grealish into the centre with his back to goal. Alvarez can't take it in. It's hacked away by Cher, and the Newcastle fans are pleased that they've put the ball out over on the far side. 0-0, half an hour played. Manchester City and Newcastle live on TalkSport with Now, and don't forget with Now you can stream all the Sky Sports action like Aston Villa versus Everton and West Ham versus Chelsea live tomorrow for £11.99. No contract. Search Now Sports.
Listen, Manchester City had a sustained period of time there where they've got possession. They're having snapshots from here, there and everywhere, but that's the moments that the defence have got to stay compact. They've got to get out to the ball, make them blocks and put the bodies on the line, and that's exactly what the Newcastle players did. So I'm sure from that side of things, even though they've not got possession, they're controlling things out of possession by making sure that Manchester City don't get anything easy.
Ruben Diaz, infield it goes. It's collected by Oscar Vardiol. Now up to Kovacic. Kovacic turns, plays it out towards the wide right where Walker is waiting for it. Kovacic, who's 10 yards inside opposition territory, to Foden down the right onto Alvarez, who shoots towards the far corner. It's a brilliant Julian Alvarez goal. Absolutely terrific finish. Wonderful movement by Foden to open the pitch up. There was space for Alvarez to run into on the edge of the box. He spun brilliantly, turned and whacked the ball out of the reach of Nick Pope and into the far corner. And Julian Alvarez, who got 17 goals last season, is off and running this. And it's Manchester City who lead by a goal to 0.
Fantastic goal by Manchester City, really carved it out well, and like I mentioned a couple of times in that first half, Phil Foden just getting in them little areas of space, half turned, picks out Alvarez, and that's not an easy chance. He has struck that beautifully straight in the top bins of his right foot, just gives it a little bit of the eyes, kind of faking that he's going to put it in the near post. Nick Pope gets a little hand on it, but nowhere near enough, and it flies into the top corner. Excellent play.
Too much space for him though. Who didn't track him?
Well, as the ball got spun in down the side to Phil Foden, they're 2 against 1, so one of the men that were marking Alvarez came across to try and put pressure on Phil Foden. He did what he should do as a forward. You pick out the spare men. Alvarez, one touch, finish, see you later.
Well, Manchester City have taken the lead. It took them 32 minutes to do so, and it's not always a great thing for a football match when Manchester City take the lead, because the opponents are usually quite scared to open up and go and chase an equaliser, because they know the damage that City can do on the break. So Newcastle United have got to try and fashion some sort of response.
They have to, Sam, but you know what? That's the first shot on target that's not been blocked that Manchester City have had. And it was just that one little lapse in concentration, 32 minutes into the game. As Phil Foden is spare and a defender has to slide across, the next defender has to slide across as well, and that's what didn't happen, and that's why Alvarez took full advantage of that.
It was almost sort of imperceptible, the movement by Foden, which allowed Alvarez to run into that space. And Manchester City have had 68% possession in the game so far, lead by a goal to 0. Julian Alvarez, who started the first 2 games of the season, came off the bench in the week, had a really good first campaign as a Manchester City player despite playing second fiddle to Haaland.
What I like about Manchester City players, and this goes from the youngest Phil Foden to the oldest.
Foden's got it now. He's nodded the ball in front of himself and he's charging over halfway. He's being trapped by Tonali. He's kept going. Didn't keep on his feet. Went down and looks up and asked for Tonali to be booked, and Tonali has been booked.
Yeah, good running again from Phil Foden, showing that turn of pace that he has got. Little nudge in the back there by Tonali. Yeah, it's a right call. I'm not sure it's a booking, but it's certainly a foul.
Scored after just 6 minutes of his debut. The most expensive Italian of all time, Champions League semi-finalist last year.
Yeah, just going back to it, I mean, Phil Foden got the ball back to goal, probably 10 yards inside his own half, and he's not got a pass on, so rather than just flick it or have a gamble, he takes a touch back where it came and goes all the way back to the keeper. That's taking responsibility on the ball. If you've got no one making angles for you, keep it and don't give anything cheaply away, and that actually led up to this opportunity now that Manchester City have got.
Sublime. Manchester City 1, Newcastle 0. They've looked good in the opening exchanges of the game. They've been patient in their build-up and they've got their just rewards. Julian Alvarez out wide to Foden, back to Alvarez once again, takes it to the wide right position, produces a cross into the box, is headed away by Tonali, goes back to Kovacic, right-footed shot, again blocked this time, and it comes out towards this near side, and well, Gordon's trying to escape. He's not going to have to do that, not going to be able to do that because he's been brought down by Alvarez. And Jason Tyndall asking the question, well, hold on a second, that was obviously stopping a promising attack, so why on earth did it not get pulled back?
I think you've got every right to ask that question, because we've seen that happen a couple of times, especially just recently there with Phil Foden, with Tonali. Tonali stopped a promising move with a shove in the back, and that was a similar situation. I don't know why the card has not been given to Alvarez for the same kind of incident.
Yeah, he wants a yellow card, Jason Tyndall, and he's asking Anthony Taylor why that wasn't the case.
He'll end up getting booked himself.
Here is Ederson away to our left-hand side. The Manchester City goalkeeper, who plays a straight ball up towards Alvarez, who couldn't take it in to his body, gave it away, and now Newcastle have got it inside opposition territory, and Almiron picks it up from Cher, runs towards the edge of the penalty area, runs laterally alongside it, and then plays it into Byrne, who's got halfway up inside the Manchester City half. Bruno Guimaraes turns and plays it back to the centre circle. Newcastle just get hold of the ball and have a bit of possession 10 minutes before the break. Talk sport. Here is Guimaraes, 1-0 to Manchester City, pushed to the floor by Rodri, who takes no prisoners.
No, and there's a little situation there. The ball was with Ederson, and there was a high press from the Newcastle players, and there was a straight ball for a good passing channel into Alvarez, and he was on his heels. He's got to just come to try and look for that. It's a 40-yard ball, but it's very simple for Ederson to execute that. Make sure you get in front of the defender and just shield the ball. He doesn't do that. The ball goes anyway, because that's the only pass that Ederson's got, and they end up losing possession.
Ball sent long into the City box. The only one who tracked it was Rodri. The ball comes off the hand, does it, of Kovacic, so we're into the penalty area. Referee waves it away, and Gordon tries to take on Walker, loses out to Walker. Gordon gets back up again after being laying prostrate on the floor. The ball is sent wide towards the right. Almiron might get there first. He does on the right angle of the penalty area. Gets a left-footed drive towards goal, blocked by Akanji, and the ball bounces out on the far side and away for a throw-in to Newcastle United. They're just holding up here just to check to see whether or not there was a handball inside the area by Kovacic. No chance.
Yeah, it's so, I mean, literally the two players are next to each other, and his arms are kind of right in front of his own crown jewels, so there's no way that's going to be given.
Well, bearing in mind the penalty that wasn't given at Tottenham Hotspur, where with the hand outstretched, and Manchester United player playing it against the Tottenham defender, I think it was it Romero, was it, whose hand was outside the natural silhouette of his body, but apparently didn't count, unbelievably. I'm not surprised. Tottenham should have had a penalty in that game too. Here's Grealish onto his right foot into the penalty area, tries a strike, it's blocked by the defender, and it's cleared out on this near side.
Grealish is just a little bit easy to read at the moment. You know, everything he's coming inside and trying to get that right foot shot off. I think at times he's got to take that outside with his left foot, his weaker side, and get a couple of crosses in, and then all of a sudden you've got the defender guessing, are you going to go outside, are you going to go in? But at the moment he's dropping his left shoulder, coming in and trying to get that worldy goal.
Isaac just took the ball well play on this near side, but he's a talented player, isn't he, Isaac? He was chosen ahead of Callum Wilson on the opening day of the season, repaid the manager with 2 goals. He makes the difficult look easy at times.
Sublime finishing.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah.
He just lost the ball after being over elaborate, but for testing that Manchester City defence away to our left-hand side, he's always drawn comparisons with Zlatan Ibrahimovic, his countryman.
Just a little bit of to and fro in there from Alvarez and Ederson. Alvarez made that space this time, but the ball was ridiculously difficult to control, and Alvarez is just gesticulating to him. What am I supposed to do with that?
Manchester City lead by a goal to nil. Live on TalkSport. A goal coming after 32 minutes. Julian Alvarez's first goal of the season. And Manchester City are in front here. Ball back to Pope on the edge of his own penalty area. Lays it off to Cher. Cher needs to give it back to Pope here. Pope takes a touch and takes it wide. Trippier under pressure from Grealish lifts it into the centre half position, and Botman, who flicks it on to Byrne, and now there's a little bit of space here for Byrne to run into, and he does gallop with those big long legs over the halfway line. Lays it off to Gordon, who's in the midpoint of the City half. He travels centrally and then plays it into Joel Linton, finds Bruno Guimaraes, who then clips the ball over the top for Trippier, who won the Youth Cup at Manchester City, to bring down. He then brings Almiron into play. This is good football from Newcastle United. Bruno Guimaraes, Tonali, back to Bruno Guimaraes again, then wide and on to Tonali, who's on the far side, the right, collected by Trippier, and then they go back to halfway, not wanting to risk the ball.
No, and listen, with the superlatives that we talk about Manchester City, one thing that they've got immensely, and that's their ability to work back and get behind the ball. And there was 10 men within seconds of that Newcastle attack behind the ball.
Here's Cher breaking the lines to get into the penalty area. He goes down under pressure from Akanji, goes behind, and he holds that shoulder again. Nothing doing according to the referee.
Interesting. I mean, I don't think the Manchester City player, I think it was Akanji, got anything on there. And sent Shah absolutely flying on that shoulder, like you said, Sam.
A goal kick has been given. VAR not getting involved, just in case you were wondering whether or not there might be a check. There isn't. 5 minutes before half-time. You're listening to TalkSport at the Etihad Stadium, where it's been quite sort of celebratory before kick-off. 20 years of the Etihad Stadium being celebrated. 3 trophies to celebrate as well. 4 trophies, really. They won another one on Wednesday night, and certainly they're determined to make the most of it, and so they should. It's an unbelievable achievement. In fact, I actually remember saying at the time, you don't realise winning a treble is winning a treble. Here's Haaland inside the area, trying to shoot towards the far corner, and kisses the outside of the post. Brilliant. A good bit of movement and a good link up between him and Foden to get the Norwegian down that left channel. He turned well and fired the ball across the face of goal, and it just kissed the outside of the post and goes out for a goal kick.
Brilliant. Phil Foden again moving off the ball, just getting the ball in that little, again, no one anywhere near him, little slide rule pass, and you can see straight away Haaland's not looking at anything apart from nutmegging the defender, and if the defender's in the right position, which he probably should be a yard across, that nestles in the bottom corner. The goalkeeper's got nothing to do with it. Fortunately, the defender was a little bit behind him, and the shot, for Botman's sake, just goes like a yard wide. Excellent play again. Super forward play by the two.
Prior to that, I was saying a treble is a treble, and it doesn't happen very often. It doesn't matter about the money that has been spent. To win 3 trophies in a season, those 3 trophies in particular, is an incredible achievement, no matter what the circumstances. Manchester City were incredible in the second half of the season. They were absolutely unstoppable. Haaland touching the ball to his right, but he's beaten to it by Botman. It's only 1-0 at this moment in time, and while it's only 1-0, there is still jeopardy in the game, very much so, especially with Newcastle United, who were the top scorers going into the second weekend of the season.
Absolutely, and you look at their bench as well, it's stacked. Harvey Barnes made an impact the other day, could have scored 2, scored 1. Wilson came off the bench to score, so they've got plenty of players on that bench that can come on and affect this game from a forward perspective.
Guardiola, left edge of the area. It's a good ball out towards the far side, but it was cut out by Kieran Trippier. And Pep Guardiola, who has been animated in the opening 42 minutes, is now taking a little rest. He's sitting on a cool box of Gatorade.
Well, they've not had it their own way, have they? Newcastle have asked a lot of questions, and fortunately for Manchester City, they've been able to defend it properly and get blocks in. But you can sense it from the crowd. They know that this game is still alive, and there's still plenty of jeopardy in this. It only takes a moment, and Newcastle have got players that have got moments in them, moments of magic, and that's all they need to find to get themselves back in this game.
Rodri powering forward towards halfway. It's 1-0 to Manchester City, the champions of England. Over on the far side, the ball's back to Akanji. If you've just joined us, you've just come in and you haven't been listening to the radio today, I can tell you that at Anfield, Liverpool came from behind to beat Bournemouth earlier in the day. Fulham lost at home to Brentford. Wolves thrashed by Brighton at home, and Tottenham beat Manchester United by 2-0. The statistics of Manchester United away from home last season and this against the big boys has been pretty frightening. Erik ten Hag has got to sort that out. Here's Grealish down the left-hand side, skating towards the edge of the penalty area, goes to the byline, produces a cross into the centre, takes deflection, goes behind, and it's out for a corner to Manchester City. Yeah, good option from Grealish there. Good sweeping move by Manchester City. Went out. Grealish is probably on the edge of the 18-yard box down the left-hand side. He looks to come inside, but there's numbers there. There's Newcastle defenders backing up Trippier, so he ends up dropping a shoulder, going on the outside and winning his team a corner. He keeps on changing it. Go right, go left. You can't do the same thing all the time, and I think Jack's kind of the pennies dropped with him on that in this game, and he started getting a little bit of joy. First corner of the game. 64% possession for Manchester City. The ball's delivered deep towards the far stick. Rodri heads it down into the box. It's hooked away by Bruno Guimaraes. Back in by Kovacic. He's given it straight to Isak, who then has worked it out towards the far side. He's battled for it with Foden, but he was surrounded by 3 players. One of them managed to take it off him. That was Foden. And Foden gets it wide towards the left, and Haaland, and then there's a bit of a bumping of uglies over on the far side. And Grealish has given away a free kick. I'm not sure about that one. Possibly the officials got that wrong, and Jack Grealish won't be happy about that. He's stunned. Yeah, a couple of minutes before half-time. We're 10 seconds from the normal regulation 45 minutes. There's going to be 3 added minutes at the end of that, which have just been put up on the board by Anthony Taylor. Yeah, 64% possession, 9 shots, 1 of them on target so far from Manchester City. That's the goal. And Newcastle United really haven't tested Ederson so far in the game. They've had plenty of opportunities and situations. It's just that the defending from City, they've got close enough to block them shots. I think that's the difference. Yep. And it was only one moment when Newcastle switched off where they didn't get close enough to Alvarez, and that's what we're talking about, that concentration. Making sure that you track your runners at all times. There's a couple of early opportunities as well for Manchester City. Who sort of broke the lines and just sort of tested. Nick Pope gave a warning to Manchester City, to Newcastle United, that Manchester City meant business tonight, as you would imagine they would. Yeah, I'm sure the manager's got them right at it before this game, you know, giving them no excuse. Tiredness, fatigue, you've been travelling, forget about it. I need you on your game today. And if you're not, didn't stop him from mentioning it yesterday. No, but of course he's going to mention it, because I think, you know, although you can't control it, you might be able to affect decisions in the future. And if one of the Premier League teams, not just Manchester City, any of the other Premier League teams that are playing in Europe, Premier League, try and help them. I can't work out why it wasn't played tomorrow. Exactly why Pep's making that point. Or on Monday night. Yeah, listen, it's TV. Going to play tonight. It's TV. You look at where this is being shown now. So America can watch this live. It's a perfect time for them. I think, for me, it must be something to do with the TVs. Here is broadcasters. Almiron over on the far side. Not the actual physical TVs. No. The ball is into the box, aimed towards Joe Linton. It comes down to Gordon, who can't control it on the edge of the 6-yard box. It's away by Diaz, and it's over towards the far side. Yeah, don't tell Pep that. He'll be throwing 48-inch Sonys out of the window. Listen, that's the chance, that, for Gordon. He's decided to control it, far post it, cross from right to left, beat everyone. If he decided to try and control it, I think he just tried to sweep that, cover the ball, get a good contact and put it towards goal. And there's so many players there, there's a good chance that could either deflect off or go right through the lot of them and end up in the back of the net. Newcastle, take the chances. They are a humble, fit, workaholic team that won't be allowed to get away with resting on their laurels after their opening day success, and they've certainly found that in the first 45 minutes of this game. Their record against the very best isn't great. They've won just one of their 8 league fixtures last season against the other sides that finished in the top 5 of the table, and their record against reigning champions is even worse. Walker has the ball over on the far side. It remains 1-0 to Manchester City. The Alvarez goal separates the two. Big Dan Burn comes across and crunches Walker into the stand and wins a throw-in. I'm not sure how that can be a Newcastle ball as well. I think Carl Walker is articulating that point. And it's away for a throw-in. The new rules will be tested here, I think, in terms of game management and time wasting, as Dan Burn throws the ball at Rob Jones, because that is the end of the first 45 minutes. Well, it's been 23 years since Newcastle last won at Manchester City. Unless they can come back from a goal down. They're going to be waiting at least another year. Julian Alvarez's goal, created by Phil Foden, separates the two at the break. At half-time, it's Manchester City 1, Newcastle 0. And Manchester City leading by 1-0, attacking the goal away to our left in the second half in light blue jerseys and white shorts and light blue stockings. Sandro Tonali has just been felled by Julian Alvarez, and look, we have our first booking of the second half. The first Manchester City booking of the day, and that was for dragging back Tonali.
I think that's a combination of the fouls that have gone before.
I was going to say,
Alvarez can feel quite unlucky about that. Although it is
32 seconds into the second half.
It was quite cynical, and Tonali had done him with a drop of the shoulder and got wrong side of him, and there's no reason for him to actually do that. So I think it's a good call from the referee, Robert Jones. Newcastle
haven't beaten Manchester City at the Etihad Stadium since they... not in the league anyway. They actually won here in the League Cup in 2014 October by 2-0. But their last away win against Manchester City in the Premier League came in September 2000. Alan Shearer scoring the winner at Main Road. They have the ball inside the penalty area now, and Isaac has been bumped to the floor inside the box, and the flag has gone up, so it will negate any need for us to look at whether or not that was a penalty or not. But I'm sure that was a moment there was a little bit of nervousness amongst the Manchester City defence, because they were caught out by a ball towards the back post. I'm not sure where the offside is.
Just on that header for the second phase. This keeping it alive.
I'm not sure that he was offside in the middle. Dan Burn.
Yeah, I think he was. I think your shoulders are offside, isn't it? So again, it's that
it was tight.
It's that uncertainty of what part of your body. But I think it was just offside on the initial flick into the centre for Dan Burn, and then he kept it alive. And yeah, the defender was wrong side of Alexander Isak, who was kind of bundled over, and it would have been an interesting one for VAR.
Not given, and Ederson will clear away, left-footed, driving the ball through the heart of the pitch up towards Haaland. He is losing out to Botman in the air there, and the ball is headed out towards the right-hand side. So let me run through the two 11s for you, starting with Manchester City. Their goalkeeper is Ederson. The back four, Walker, Akanji, Diaz and Guardiola. Akanji's been moving into midfield throughout the course of the game. Kovacic and Rodri with Foden in the number 10. Grealish left, Haaland through the middle, and Alvarez doing what he likes, really. Here is Gordon down the left-hand side for Newcastle United. Fires a shot goalwards, takes a deflection off first a blue shirt, then off of Joel Linton, and goes out for a throw-in level with the edge of the Manchester City penalty area. But they need a little bit more purpose in the second half. Newcastle need to have a go, and they've certainly done that in the early exchanges. Yeah, interesting choice there from Anthony Gordon. I thought he did well. Got the ball, received it, chopped inside onto his favoured right foot, and it looked like it was a goalward-bound effort, but it was blocked by a Manchester City player, and then it ricocheted off Joel Linton for a throw-in for Manchester City. But they've started with intent, and they look like they've had a bit of a running down off the managers, if you ask me. They look like they've had a dressing down off the managers to say, come on, liven up. Let's take it to Manchester City. Turns it towards this near touchline, and Almiron has got support from Trippier, who delivers into the box, and Gordon is at the far post, blocks off Walker because Joel Linton was coming behind him. He's kept the move alive. Burns burst into the area. Gordon round the corner, gets the better of Walker, gets the shot away, and Walker does just enough to edge him off balance as he pulls the trigger, and he spins round the corner into a tight angle and fires the ball over the top of the crossbar. It remains 1-0. Good first touch manipulation outside of his right foot by Anthony Gordon, just chopping it round the side of Kyle Walker. Just couldn't control himself and compose himself for that left-footed shot, and it goes harmlessly over. But you can sense with Anthony Gordon, he's a player full of confidence, and he's prepared to try things, especially in that final third and in and around the 18-yard box. City going long up to Haaland again, and Haaland gets the shot away, and it's the first one on target from him today, straight into the arms of Nick Pope. But it was from the goalkeeper's hands, kicked from the edge of the penalty area at one end. It bounced on the edge of the penalty area at the other end, and it was brought under control by Haaland, who turned and fired and shot all in one motion. Yeah, Botman's got to be confident he can deal with that one-on-one situation, because if he can, and he's shown there that he's not 100% in control of that, Haaland's going to get chances, and it's going to be very straightforward from Ederson. Grealish plays it into Kovacic, and then Rodri. One big long punt up the middle of the pitch up to Haaland. Non-league football, isn't it? Towards the near post. It misses everybody and no one's gambling. But why? That 6-yard box, and it's out of play on this near side. Listen, that's disrespectful, because I just think that's smart football.
Why bother going? I'm kind of correcting myself. Why go through the lines and play all these intricate passes if you've got a one-on-one between Haaland and Botman? Just keep on doing that, because eventually he's going to get the better of him and it's going to end up in the back of the net.
Smart, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Here is Rodri out towards the left-hand side. Kovacic also stops Newcastle from committing too many bodies forward, because they have to think about where they're positioned for when the ball breaks down and goes to Ederson.
And
Grealish thinks he was fouled. Long ball over the top, and Isaac is chasing, but Ederson has come out and headed the ball away from the edge of his penalty area before the sweep can get there.
And it's disrespectful to a lot of non-league clubs, because I know a lot of non-league clubs that play brilliant football, Bamber Bridge being one of them, but I watch a lot of non-league football, and I think, I wouldn't say it's just Pep, but the effect from the way teams play in the Premier League is certainly just dripping down into the pyramid, and players are playing better and better.
I feel like you've given yourself a bit of a talking to.
Yeah, I know, I've just had a word with myself, haven't I?
Manchester City lead by a goal to nil. You're listening to TalkSport. We're live at the Etihad Stadium. There was a foul there in the middle of the park. Manchester City player is down. I think it's Julian Alvarez, who's just being helped back to his feet by Ruben Diaz. And Jack Grealish has just come across to get a little energy drink from this near touchline, and Pep Guardiola is sloped back in his seat, in his big bucket chair in the dugout down in front of us. Eddie Howe is right on the perimeter of the technical area, and the free kick is with Manchester City's captain Kyle Walker, who's now just tossed it in front of the centre circle, and will leave it to the fouled Alvarez to take this free kick. Haaland standing in an offside position, runs backwards, then goes forwards. It's not a great free kick, it's down the right channel and straight into the arms of the goalkeeper Nick Pope. 1-0.
Yeah, that's frustrating. You know, decent position. It's not in a crossing area, it's right centre of the pitch. So what you've got to do is you've got to move it to one of the wide areas if you want to get a ball into the box and have a chance of getting second contact on it. And just the basics there, and I'm sure that's why Pep Guardiola looks very frustrated after that free kick was taken.
It's 1-0. Here is Gordon up on the left-hand side for Newcastle, skating forward at speed. He goes on the outside and then tries to beat Diaz. Diaz with a well-timed slide tackle, puts it away towards the far side, kept in by Rodri, and then Foden tries to bring it out, and Rodri helps him do that. And it's good football from Manchester City to play them out of trouble. Gordon has gone wiring in on a challenge over on the far side on Diaz. He thinks he was fouled. The referee might come back to that. There's another foul higher up the pitch involving Joel Linton. Now Gordon has already been booked. Joel Linton is certainly going to be booked over on the far side, but Pep Guardiola is pointing out to Anthony Taylor that he thinks that Gordon should be sent off.
I think Robert Jones has just given himself a minute by making that second bookable offence tackle and dealing with that first, while possibly VAR speak to him about the initial challenge.
Well, VAR cannot get involved on a yellow card offence, so they will not be advising him officially in any way, in any capacity, that he should be getting a second yellow card. I actually, on reflection, having looked at it, I'm not entirely sure it was a clear-cut yellow card from Anthony Gordon. It was a full-blooded challenge. Yeah,
I mean, listen, I'm not sure what's going on between them two players, but Gordon, that's the second time he's left a little bit on Diaz. No, there's nothing in that at all.
I don't think that's a yellow card.
50-50. Both got a piece of the ball, and Diaz has just ended up second best.
Yeah. And there is going to be a change, though, and I think Jason Tindall and Eddie Howe reacting to those circumstances, just making sure that there's no further trouble for Anthony Gordon. A foul against Haaland on Botman gives a free kick to Manchester City. The second half hasn't really got into gear for City just yet, and we've played a good 9 minutes of it. Harvey Barnes is going to come off the bench.
Yeah, listen, Harvey Barnes, you know that he can make an impact from the bench, and this will be a positive. I would imagine, just because he's been involved in one or two little situations and incidents which he could easily get a second yellow card.
Yes, for his own protection.
It's probably going to be Gordon, yeah. And listen, for the rest of the team, because they don't want to go down to 10 men against Manchester City 1-0 down. It's almost like giving up the game.
We'll go for the Newcastle. I don't think I've gone from the Newcastle 11 yet in the second half. They got Pope in goal, Trippier, Cher, Botman and Byrne, Bruno Guimaraes, Tonali and Joel Linton, Almiron, Isaac and Gordon.
But is that not good management as well? I know we say it seems obvious, but when you're in the heat of the game, to be able to make that decision very quickly. I just say that's great management.
Especially since he's a player who, let's be completely honest, has been probably their most productive.
Absolutely, I agree.
He produced that brilliant ball in the first half where he sliced the Manchester City defence in two.
Even in the second half, he's been the most threat.
It is Barnesford-Gordon, that's been confirmed now. Joel Linton just asking for a pause as he catches his breath after an incident just short of the halfway line. Stop-start nature to the second half. A round of applause from Gordon to his teammates and to his travelling support, which are slithering up away to our right-hand side in all three tiers of the ground in the far corner.
Yeah.
And Harvey Barnes is on for his second appearance in black and white. And he didn't have a bad first appearance.
No.
He came off the bench and got a debut goal and an assist last week.
It was too unselfish, if I'm being honest. The first opportunity that he had, it was very similar to the second. Finish it. And I think there was an element of surprise when Callum Wilson received that first ball, and he probably thought it was more difficult chance because by the time he received it, the goalkeeper was kind of all over him and made the block. The second time he thought, you know what, sod that, I'm going to do it myself, and he finished it superbly well.
He may have been using slightly different language, Trevor, you never know, he might be polite. John Linton's coming off and Longstaff is coming on, and so it's two changes for Eddie Howe in quick succession.
Looks like Joel Linton's just got a little bit of a knock. Really physical player, puts himself about. Very unselfish player for this Newcastle side, and he's just probably picked up a little knock, and there's a bit of protection there again from Eddie Howe and Jason Tindall to give him a rest.
57 minutes on the clock, and it's Manchester City who lead by a goal to nil. And Pep Guardiola, I think, sensing there's a little bit of lethargy amongst his team, is looking to make some changes. In Cole Palmer and Rico Lewis, maybe those changes. Long ball from Edison inside his own area, out to the left, and Foden drags them up the pitch and then brings Grealish into play. He angles his run to the edge of the box and then lifts it into Akanji, and then that's played behind Haaland by Akanji. Dan Burn will take it away and it goes out to the far side. The difference between having Akanji floating into that midfield position and, let's say, John Stones, is that sometimes that final ball isn't as accurate and as cultured.
Absolutely. And listen, that's a credit to John Stones as well. I think the way that he's adapted his game into that kind of midfield role, which we've seen him take, especially last season, I just think it shows the adaptability of the player and how much class he's got.
City coming over the halfway line with Kyle Walker. There's a foul by Harvey Barnes. He's got a yellow card. So after bringing off Anthony Gordon, because they didn't want him to get sent off, they brought on Harvey Barnes. He's been on the pitch for like 70 seconds and he's already committed a foul, which I'm not entirely sure is a yellow card, but has been given a yellow card, and now he's in a situation where he's in exactly the same situation as the guy he's come on to replace.
Back to square one. That'll be frustrating for Eddie Howe to see that.
Eddie Howe just hooks him straight away and replaces him with yet another left winger. If only, Eddie, if only. That's not the case. He's still on the pitch over on the far side. But I'm sure that's a little bit of frustration from Eddie Howe that's starting to emerge as a result of that. It's still only 1-0. And whilst it's only 1-0, there is, a game on the tightrope here.
There is, yeah. I think there's an amount of control with this Manchester City performance, though. Even in the second half, they've not been threatened that much. But I have noticed, we've seen it a couple of times in the first half, that direct ball. They've continued to do that this second half. Edison straight through to either Haaland or, in this case, Foden, and it's a dangerous pass.
Oh, so it's an accurate pass as well. It's almost laser guided.
Yeah.
It comes off his boot almost onto the head of Haaland in a blink of an eye.
Absolutely.
It's very difficult to defend against, especially when you're not really used to it.
But that's the risk if you're going to press high. Manchester City have got that part of their arsenal to be able to go straight over the top and pick out a player.
It's one way of beating the press, isn't it? Here's Foden, who slips it through to Haaland inside the area, beats one defender, can't get away from the second, and Cher does brilliantly just to dive in and play it against the Norwegian and put it out for a goal kick away to our left-hand side. Foden just about wriggled free. He was being manhandled by Byrne, and then Haaland tried to get away from Cher, but it was a brilliant tackle.
It's a mercurial turn and pass by Phil Foden. He has been the difference in this game, I have to say. Been so impressive with the way he receives the ball, his first touch manipulation. Look at him. He has got so much in the locker.
And his speed as well.
Yeah, he's rapid.
Didn't get a free kick there after a collision with Dan Byrne. Referee says play on, and now Newcastle try to knit together an attack which takes them up the field of play. Bruno Guimaraes sends the ball out wide right, and Almiron's got a chance to run at Josko Vardial. He moves to the edge of the area, he goes on the outside, gets into the box, goes down towards the right, and he's touched back to Trippier.
Brilliant defending.
It was terrible.
Brilliant defending.
He was held up well, but he should have been able to get the touch away back to Trippier. He was just I think he maybe run out of ideas and legs there, the Paraguayan, and couldn't get it back to Trippier, and it's cleared away.
But Guardiola's positioning and decision making to go with the runner at the timing that he did, he almost forced him to either pass him the ball or he's got nothing else on. You know, Almiron wasn't an option. It's brilliant defending and well backed up as well by Diaz.
Still just the one goal separating these two teams. Manchester City's stated aim is pretty lofty, but far from unthinkable to become the first ever English club in men's football to win 4 consecutive top flight titles. There will be increased threats this year, undoubtedly. Will they be able to negotiate them? Well, probably.
I think with the squad they've got, I'd question it.
Would you?
I really feel they need.
I went through
I really feel they need, especially when you've got a couple of key players out, which they have at the moment.
De Bruyne, Silva, Stones. De Bruyne's going to be out to January, maybe February.
And what
the manager.
And what conditions are going to be in when he gets back? You know,
Cancelo is a persona non grata. They only really have 22 outfield players, first team senior outfield players. They named 2 keepers on the bench in Sevilla. What they do have is players like Akanji, Rodri, Stones, De Bruyne, when fit, Lewis, Foden, Alvarez, who can play in a number of positions, and that sort of almost adds depth even with the numbers on there.
Yeah, but it doesn't add freshness.
No.
So if you're asking players to play in different positions, one, that familiarity of what your movement is, to then change that completely for the next game, that's a difficult task to do it week in, week out, and to not be rested.
How many would you be advocating that he buys between now and the window closing next Friday? Not next Friday, the Friday after.
At least one. I would say they'd need at least one offensive player.
Bruno Guimaraes, into the area he goes. It's caught by Ederson, and it will be cleared away. If Cancelo leaves, I think they probably need 2, I think.
Yeah. It's whether they're going to utilise Cancelo. We know the situation.
They haven't
we know
so far this situation.
No, they haven't.
And they've got James McAtee and Oscar Bob on the bench today,
which are great young lads that are going to come in and hopefully have a career at Manchester City. Not an easy task, as any player that's come through the academy will tell you. But there's some good signs, and we've seen a few sound bites from Pep Guardiola praising some of these young players who are going to have a future.
Dismissive of those players. It was me saying that João Cancelo isn't on the bench and those players have been preferred to him, so it would suggest he is not going to be included.
I agree. So if there's going to be some movement, that could be 1 out and maybe 2 in. I'd say at least 2 in if he does leave. I agree with you, Sam.
Well, we'll see what happens, and Alex Crook will be across it all with Jim White and the rest of the boys over the course of the next few weeks, live on TalkSport. Here's Foden picking up the ball again and playing it into Haaland inside the area, left footed shot towards the far corner, didn't catch it right, and it was always going wide, never looked confident, but again Foden lighting up the Etihad Stadium. Brilliant play by him. He really is having a terrific game. I mean, he created the goal for Cole Palmer in the Community Shield with a wonderful run in that match, opening up the pitch with his direct running with the ball. He's done it again here, and his precise pass into Haaland, he took it well, took a little touch to his left hand side, but just didn't get set to get the shot away. It was almost a bit too close to him.
Yeah, I think it might have even deflected off the inside of the calf of the defender. But again, look, Foden's intensity and his change of speed. He got that ball, he played it inside first time round the corner into Jack Grealish, who probably was on his heels a little bit. He weren't bothered. He just wanted him to touch it and keep it still. He did that, followed through, and it was a really accurate pass into Haaland. Slipped right in between the 2 defenders, and Haaland just misses that far post once again.
He's been given the freedom today to play where he wants, Phil Foden.
I've said it many times, Sam. I feel it's a bit stupid to say this, but I do feel he is quite wasted on the wing.
In a sense, is Kevin De Bruyne's injury actually going to help him flourish?
Well, it could be, because he's going to get more opportunities in the centre of the park. And listen, he's taken this game by the horns. You know, he's the standout player. Look at him again in that little pocket on the half turn,
driving towards the edge of the area, plays a little reverse pass into Haaland, who takes it wide onto his right foot, shoots, saved by Pope down low with his feet, and propelled out towards the far side.
It's the Foden Haaland show. Foden's doing his bit at the minute, and Haaland's just not getting that finishing touch.
Here's Kovacic, edge of the area, plays it down the wide right position. Not sure where that was going, but Byrne read it and managed to clear it away. It goes back to Sven Botman, who will play that forward into the path of I think it was Harvey Barnes, who was fouled from behind by Walker. No yellow card for that?
I think that's a good call. It was definitely a foul. I think the fact that both players are sliding for it, I think that's why he didn't get the booking.
I think we've had, is it 4 cards for players in black and white? Just the one for Manchester City's Julian Alvarez so far. Interesting. Here is Dan Burn, back to the edge of the penalty area.
I've always thought with referees that without meaning to be there's a slight bias to the home side, especially when the home side are treble winners, and I can't change my tune.
No, don't say that, Trevor. You can't say that.
I can't change my tune just because it's Manchester City.
Almiron bursting down the right-hand side. He's brought Bruno Guimaraes into play. There was lots of space. He rushed his effort and he scuffed it wide. What a chance! What a chance for Newcastle on the break. Almiron darting down the right-hand side, sending the ball infield into the path of Bruno Guimaraes, where he's got loads of space to run into. Diaz actually moved away to open the pitch, the penalty area up for him even further, and somehow, some way, he's just decided to take an early shot and he's messed it up.
I think the shot was the right decision to make and the right call to make, but he will be kicking himself. 18 yards out, just right of centre, the goal there, he'll be disappointed because he'll do that in training 9 times out of 10 and he'll at least hit the target, and I'm sure probably 5 times out of 10 he'll score. 18 yards is not far from the goal when you're 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper. It opened right up for him. Great play by Almiron, and he'll be kicking himself that he's missed the target.
That's
there.
a big miss by Bruno Guimaraes, and that may well come back to haunt Newcastle United. 2 changes in the meantime. Isaac is off, so is Tonali. Elliot Anderson and Callum Wilson have come on. 2 changes. And we played 66 minutes. You're listening to Talk Sport. The ball has been picked up by Kovacic of Manchester City. He's striding over halfway. He plays it out towards the wide right position. It's swung in by Walker towards the edge of the box. He's overhit that and it's headed down by Trippier into the arms of his goalkeeper, and it remains 1-0. Well, it's still alive, this match, even though Manchester City really have had a proper grip of it for a long time, and Ederson hasn't had to make a save yet. The truth of the matter is why it's 1-0, there's always a chance, especially with Callum Wilson on the pitch. He's spun in behind now and got past Guardiola. He's being relentlessly pursued by Alvarez. He's sent the ball into the box, but there's no one up there to finish it. Anderson had broken into the box. Barnes on the far side is tussling with Walker. It's cleared away. It's up to Haaland, and then he heads it back to Rodri.
Brilliant by Haaland.
So good. So good.
That was a 20-30 yard sprint to fight for a space, a blade of grass on the pitch, and he made sure he got there first to retain possession for his teammates.
This team, honestly, they are absolutely brilliant to watch. They just seem to sort of metamorphosize into a shape that suits the occasion. They'll almost invent a completely different shape from 1 minute to the next. Look where Akanji is now, up on the halfway line.
It's just the rotation. It's so difficult to deal with that.
Challenge by Cher is a tough one on Jack Grealish, but he did get the ball.
It's a poor ball there from Alvarez. I wouldn't say it's a hospital ball, but he's played it to the wrong side where the defender's got the advantage, and actually it's a free kick, where the defender can get the ball and actually leave a little bit on Jack, and I'm sure he didn't appreciate that pass.
Yeah. Let me give you the odds. Currently Manchester City 1, Newcastle 0. For the latest odds you can head to Betfair, the official betting partner of TalkSport's Premier League coverage. Right now you can get Manchester City to win the game at 6-1 on. Newcastle to win the match at 30-1 is the latest odds, as Cher and Grealish exchange polite words. Let's say that. The draw is 9-2. Foden to score next is 7-1. Don't forget, Betfair paying out winning bets at 90 minutes with 90-minute payout. Applies to match odds 90 market or markets with the 90 icon. Thanks to Betfair. That's 18+, begambleaware.org. This is Talk Sport.
A maverick like Jack Grealish, imagine the career he's had and the situation he's been at. He's been kicked for the whole of his career.
I was going to say,
so he knows how to deal with it. He knows how to look after himself, and that's why he's just getting a bit of verbals there with Botman saying, all right, that's how you want to play.
Third start of the season for Jack Grealish. He got 5 goals and 11 assists last season. 4 goals, and all of those assists came after the World Cup. 20 minutes to go. 1-0 to Manchester City, the champions of England. They have the ball over on the far side. They have lacked a little bit of creativity when Foden isn't involved. He's been the creative hub. I mean, you're going to lose. Oh, that's given away by Rodri, and it's 2-on-1 here, and Wilson trying to get forward, needs a bit of help. He ran into trouble as a result. Good defending in the end. It comes back to Harvey Barnes, whose shot is saved down low by Edison. And what a mistake that was from Rodri on the centre circle. He passed it straight to Wilson, who went racing through the middle, and he was held up by the Manchester City defence just about. Vardiol doing a very good job there, just nipping in at the right time, knowing when to time his intervention. As a result of that, held off the charge of the Newcastle player.
Yeah, it's a good press though by Almiron. You know, just caught Rodri unawares, nearly nicked it off him, and he's so assured on the ball, usually Rodri, because he was shocked, he kind of played a little toe peck pass back towards Guardiola, who's nowhere near getting there. Wilson anticipated that one-on-one with Guardiola. Guardiola delayed, and just got enough on the ball to divert him away from goal. Brilliant defending.
Crikey. Another card. I'm afraid he's been dishing out more cards than Clinton's. And his 50th appearance in the Premier League last Saturday in the 5-1 win over Aston Villa. Bruno Guimaraes said in the documentary, "I'm born to play in the Champions League." Well, he will. But he might have to be a little bit tidier with his tackles. He's the second one of the current crop to go into the referee's notebook. We also had Tonali and Anthony Gordon and Joel Linton that also went into the notebook earlier on for Newcastle United.
But you say this about a lot of teams: if you can't compete with Manchester City and you've got to get physical, this is what you've got to do to try and break up the play and maybe just plant a seed of doubt with the players that you're not going to come through them, because that does, it affects players offensively on the ball.
Foden back to Rodri to Kanji, who's being hounded by Almiron. He did know that Almiron was coming behind him, and as a result dealt with it well. It's played round the corner and it's picked up by Foden. Foden pokes it forward into Alvarez. Alvarez now 10 yards short of the penalty area, tries to play it down the left channel, cut out by Trippier, and then sent forward to Almiron, and they're a little bit outnumbered here, and they're trying to get numbers forward as Almiron speeds past Akanji and to the edge of the area, tries to reverse it into Longstaff, who's joining the attack. Again, not purposeful enough with the ball, and Josko Vardiol, his home debut, seems to have settled in quite nicely, pinched it and run it clear.
Yeah, I'm just not sure there was enough on that ball early enough. I think he's lost possession and then kind of looked to the referee for the foul. I was just looking at that counter-attack as well from Manchester City. I don't know how you can pick out Haaland, and that's one area of the game I think he needs to try and improve. When he's central, I feel he's got to be unselfish and go into outruns, because anything down the centre, it's going to be favourite for Nick Pope. But if he runs on the angle into the wide areas, just on that instance, because I know you want him working inside the 18-yard box, you don't want him going into them channels, but in that situation, just to be an outball for his teammates, he needs to start progressing into them runs just to keep possession.
He does. Manchester City 1, Newcastle United 0. You're listening to Talk Sport. Ball cleared high up into the night sky, away by Byrne, and on to Harvey Barnes. Barnes centrally is Longstaff, and then Elliot Anderson, who was a star of the Newcastle pre-season trip, plays it back to Sven Botman, and Botman then plays it infield to Longstaff. They really missed him actually, Longstaff, when he was injured with a foot problem towards the end of last season. Newcastle United, and legs and energy in midfield. Ball turned around the corner for Wilson to chase with Akanji. Akanji does well, just nudges in front of Wilson, takes it out towards the near side. He is such a good player.
Some battle that.
15 million quid for him.
Two elite players there. Akanji on that occasion coming out on top.
Challenge goes in for Longstaff. Across comes Grealish. I think Grealish actually got a little bit fortunate there. Wins the free kick 10 yards short of the penalty area on the left hand side.
Tried a little chicane dribble and forgot the ball on the second part of it and got taken out by Trippier.
Yeah, I don't think that's a free kick.
It's definitely not a free kick. He ran into Trippier. He's got the look at his face. He's not happy, is he?
Poor old Kieran Trippier, he ain't happy either. Jack Grealish has got his black headband on, hasn't he, tonight?
Yeah.
It's a bit thicker than the Alice band, I think, this one. It sort of sends the hair up and over it. It looks very 1980s.
Love it.
Sort of karate fashion, that. Free kick on this near side. Foden standing over it, Grealish as well. There's 3 to aim at on the edge of the box. Everyone in Newcastle black and white is back there too. It's aimed in towards the near post, headed away by Trippier. Wasn't a great delivery. Bruno Guimaraes collides with Kovacic. Referee says play on, and City have the ball in the centre circle. Flown out by Walker onto Grealish, too heavy. He heads it down, but it's going to be Kieran Trippier who wins that ball and then allows it to go behind and away for a goal kick away to our left-hand side. We've got 15 minutes to go.
Yep.
And what the Newcastle are going to do is try and get themselves into this game.
Well, be better on the ball, be better at keeping it, be better at building. Keep on threatening with that one over the top, because I think when you've got Callum Wilson on the pitch, when you've got runners off him like Harvey Barnes and Almiron, you've always got that chance that you could just get in behind. And as we see there, little reverse movement by Almiron, but Guardiola deals with it well there.
Is Pep Guardiola a little bit concerned, do you think?
Well, he's frantic on the edge of his technical area, so yeah.
Yeah, well, he's always like that. Here is Elliot Anderson. He has got space for Almiron down this right-hand side. He's fed him on the edge of the box, and then he's gone on one down the right side, pulls the ball through the area. He's overhit the pass.
Wow.
That was a great opportunity. He's hit it too long, but Barnes has recovered it over on the far side. He's looked for a little bit of help from Byrne. Gives it instead to Bruno Guimaraes, who tries to work a shooting opportunity. Plays it towards the edge of the box, a flick by Almiron. Trippier on the overlap, sends the cross into the centre. It's headed away by Rodri and out to the far side. And one back over again by Barnes. Far touchline, bit of pressure here from Newcastle as we reach the 76th minute of the game. 1-0 the score. Bruno Guimaraes send it wide out towards the right, and Almiron stretching. He's not going to reach it the first time, but he might just keep it in. Does that and does well enough to win the throwing down by the corner flag.
I think we've seen 2 instances there, 2 crossing situations, both really dangerous situations for Newcastle. One by Anderson, just puts it too deep, too long, and goes over the top of all the players that are in the danger areas. And then the second one by Trippier.
Situations.
Trippier, unbelievable quality, both consistency.
Great areas of the field. Trippier delivers. He didn't.
But that's his game. But that's where he's going to learn and grow and improve. And that's the job of obviously Eddie Howe, Jason Tyndall, and all the other coaches that are working with these players. But
just
great
into moments,
great creativity to get into them areas. But then it's calm, composure, fire and ice. Can you compose yourself now and put the ball where it's going to get headed in?
Won by Newcastle on halfway. Looked like a foul to me. It's been turned over, and away with the ball comes Rodri. Alvarez ended up in a heap on halfway. Referee has said play on. It's played forward to Wilson, then to Longstaff. Almiron is waiting for the ball to be flown out to this near side. Grealish has got to fill in. It's Almiron taking on Grealish, going on the outside. Grealish with a terrific tackle. Absolutely brilliant tackle from Jack Grealish.
Is that personal?
I think it might have been. Here is Almiron again. Back out to Cher and then Byrne. And they're occupying a lot of space inside Manchester City's half now. Elliot Anderson takes it on for Newcastle, down the left-hand side, trying to get the better of Walker. Does that, produces a cross into the box, comes back to Almiron. He's going to hit it first time. It's the back of Grealish, comes back out to the near side. He never looked confident, Almiron, when he hit that. Comes back to Guimaraes on the edge of the penalty area. Tries to tee it up for Barnes, who was stretching for it. And then Foden skips away from Byrne, who went in lunging for a tackle and missed it. It's picked up by Foden, who's continued to gallop into opposition territory. Tries to feed Haaland. Well positioned was Sven Botman and Fabian Cher, and Cher comes away with the ball. Picked up by Byrne, who's on the halfway line now, getting a bit stretched in the closing stages. We've still got 12 minutes plus injury time to play.
And maybe this is where Manchester City are being affected from the game they played. The latter stages, a little bit of fatigue kicking in now. The game is awfully stretched, and just that situation there with Foden, he was on his dying legs. You just need a second phase of movement there from Haaland, because it was impossible to slide in that ball. It didn't come, and Newcastle have got possession now on the edge of Manchester City's box.
Well, they've taken a little bit too long to get to the edge of the box here, Newcastle, and City got men back, and Barnes has sent it for Anderson. Another cross into the box. There's a collision on the edge of the area and on the edge of the 6-yard box. It comes to nothing. Foden will get it clear. He sends it high for Haaland to chase. It's missed by Trippier. And then it bounces fortuitously.
Yeah, he just didn't read the bounce, the spin on that ball. Thought it was going to be continuing, and it just kind of double-checked. And misfooted him, he just misfooted him there, and he ended up losing out in that situation.
There was a long ball out of defence by Foden, stopped on the grass inside the Newcastle half of the field. Longstaff spirits it wide. Almiron has got to stop doing that. getting offside, coming back, and then Longstaff passing him the ball.
Yeah, but I think he's gone for the slide ball on the original passer. It's gone an extra pass, and he's already gone. That's where you've just got to have a little bit of patience and just hold the ball and let him get back into that onside position.
Well, Newcastle lost fewer games on the road than City did last season. They just drew too many to get closer to the champions. But they've been second best for large portions of this game. But in the last knockings, they're starting to grow into it and test Manchester City. Ederson's going to kick long here from a free kick just in front of his 18-yard box. It's high into the air. And Cher is nudged to the floor by Haaland. That's going to be a free kick.
I don't agree with that, because I feel there's a lot of argy-bargy in there with the three titans there, Haaland, Botman and Cher, and you can't let some go and then penalise others, and that one, shoulder to shoulder, just let the game go on.
Anything need a change for Manchester City here?
Potentially.
Here is Anderson out towards the left-hand side. There's just not that much on the bench, is there? Not much depth.
That's the problem.
Barnes doesn't get on the end of Anderson's pass.
Maybe Rico Lewis to come in and just shore it up a little bit in there. He's got a lot of experience for a young man, but he is a young man.
Cole Palmer, bit of electricity.
Yeah, possibly, but is that what you want? Is he going to be disciplined enough out of possession? These are the things that are going through Pep's mind, and these are the things that he's obviously working with these young players to try and improve on. And if he's confident, he'll do that. If he's not, he probably won't.
He'll do it if he gets another goal. And Alvarez is speeding down the right-hand side. The low ball into the near post is flicked into the air by Botman. It's cleared away. It wasn't a great ball in by Alvarez, and it's one back by Newcastle United, just slightly overhit by Barnes. That puts Burn in a little spot of bother.
Done well.
Eventually they get it clear, but only as far as Rodri. City in possession. Certainly the most experienced of the players that are on the bench, Nathan Ake and Calvin Phillips, had been warming up. Phillips and Rico Lewis now are the ones that are out there going through their paces. And there is still 9 minutes plus stoppage time to play, and it still is in the balance a little bit here. Manchester City should secure the victory from this point, but one Newcastle strike, and all of a sudden we're back to parity.
Yeah, I've just seen Pep, just trying to gesture to the players, just slow it down, start having control in this football match again, because at one stage there it was just end to end.
It's very stretched. Kovacic has just brought down Longstaff.
A little bit too intricate. Keep the ball, play the safer pass. Let's get our shape and start dictating play again. And it's just losing a bit of control of this match.
Pep Guardiola has got engaged with a fan who obviously he either liked what he said or didn't, but they were both laughing at the end, which is good. I think he said, "You come down here and sit in my seat if you want." It was something like that. And the geezer in the last season away kit started laughing his head off. Ball up towards the edge of the penalty area, headed down by the City defence, and Newcastle have lost it again, and Foden obviously has emerged with it. He's skipped away from two challenges, poked it out to Alvarez, who's kept it tight to the touchline. Trippier's chased him out the perimeter of the playing surface. It's a Newcastle throw. He wanted to foul Alvarez, he's not going to get.
Yeah, I thought it looked like there was contact there, but got away with one. Just got to get with the shape now, get behind the ball, let him have it in these areas, and then when they start getting closer to goal, then start getting the press on as a team, not individually.
Ball sent forward by Trippier up towards the edge of the penalty area, dealt with well by Carl Walker, the captain.
Improved as a player, hasn't he, over the years at Manchester City?
He's always been great. He has got better and better under Pep.
I think technically on the ball, his decision making, that humbleness, not trying to absolutely kick sand in the face of every winger that he plays against, showing him a bit more respect, and he just comes across as a more humble player and a better player for me, a more effective player.
Listen, they convinced him to stay this year. Pep took him out for a very special Japanese down to a restaurant in Manchester, and I think it was 2 weeks ago that they had their little meeting of minds. Pep convinced him to stay, and then Pep left on a bike.
I've seen that, yeah, middle of the night. I hope he had his lights.
You can cycle a lot in Manchester. There's lots of cycle lanes now, Fred. I almost came here on my bike today. Here is Grealish. It's a folding bike, yes.
Is it an electric
bike? It is an electric bike, yeah.
Come on, you. Told you about that strength and conditioning.
I don't want to get too sweaty before I come to work. That's the problem. It's hard work. It's a good 30 minutes from my house to here on the bike. Well, actually, on the electric bike, it's only about 23. I've timed it. Here is Longstaff playing the ball upfield. It comes through to Wilson. Wilson helps it on. And Almiron had made the movement too early. It wasn't ready to receive it. It went behind him and out on this near side. And Grealish gets hold of it. They get one of these right, though, between now and the end of the game, and Manchester City might be overexposed. You're right about the lack of tempo from Manchester City the longer the game has gone on. They have played 2 extra games for Newcastle, the Super Cup and the Community Shield. And I'm sure the travelling to the Far East didn't take too much out of them, but the whole experience sometimes does.
Yeah.
Especially they're playing a really heavy pitch in South Korea, actually, the week before the Community Shield.
Yeah, and the Greece was hot. I was just speaking to one of the fans that was there. It was really humid and hot, so that would have taken a lot of hydration out of the players. Yeah. Again,
absolutely. Sam Rossbottom had to keep going to the bar. He was very dehydrated.
That adulation of winning it, they've obviously earned themselves another piece of silverware, and it's all that combined, physical, mental. And then they've got to go again and lift themselves for this game, which you have to give them credit for. They have done, even though what Pep came out with it in the media saying, thanks to the Premier League. I think the way that they've put themselves about this game has been outstanding.
Debut for a new signing, Tino Livramento, who comes on. He will generate Southampton between 32 and 40 million pounds over the course of his Newcastle career. They've made a tidy profit on him and Lavia, but the price of that tidy profit was relegation. But Lavia's gone to Chelsea. Livramento has gone to Newcastle United. He was actually on the books at Chelsea for a long time before he went to Southampton in the first place, but
I think City got a bit of the percentage as well of
Lavia, yeah.
I mean, he's status went right through the roof as soon as he started playing first team football, because he's shown that he could handle it in the Premier League, and that's a big ask for a young player.
Both of them have had struggles with injury, though, haven't they, over the last 12 or so months, so I think a good run in the first team in the Premier League would be helpful for them. As Bruno Guimaraes hunts down Rodri, wins the ball brilliantly. It's played out towards the right hand side. Livramento can't reach it. It's away by Akanji. Manchester City just being pressed a little bit here by the new, fresher legs of Newcastle United. They've made a lot of substitutions now. Livramento, Wilson, Anderson, Longstaff, Barnes. 5 substitutions for Newcastle United, and City haven't made any yet.
It's crazy to think. I mean, it's difficult as a sub coming into a game where so much is lying on this game. They want the 3 points. They want 100% record the first 2 games of the season defending this title. And to make a change for someone who's not up to speed, not got that feel of the game, it's a big ask.
Well, I think bearing in mind that he has sarcastically, pointed out that the game could have been played on a different day and was worried about the players' condition, it is a surprise, and it must be because he doesn't trust what's on his bench. Here's Alvarez, lots of space on the far side for Foden, who's now inside the penalty area, gets it onto his left foot, is shut down by Anderson, who gets back and blocks it. The ball goes out of play and away for a throw over on the far side. But again, there was a situation there where just a little bit quicker, a little bit faster, a little bit sharper, and that would have been 2-0 for Manchester City.
Yeah, listen, you can't hear from here, but I'd like to think that Kyle Walker was giving him a right, telling that he's coming on the overlap, just to slide him in. It'll end up being a tap-in for Erling Haaland, because that's what everyone was expecting, the ball to go on the overlap, little lay, straight ball into the box, Haaland, 2-0, game over.
Pep Guardiola has been in agitated mood this week. He even said this week that Chelsea got everything a little bit easier because they throw money around like it's going out of fashion. You would kill me, he said, if we spent in the last 2 transfer windows what Chelsea spent.
Yeah, but he's just spitting facts, isn't he? Because it's true.
Well, you don't know what anyone would say given that circumstance.
Well, I've seen,
and I'm not entirely sure that Tom Bowley's got away with it.
Well, he's got away with it for now. And what I would say is we've seen it. I think
Haaland onto Foden inside the area, skates past the defender, tries to tease the ball towards the far stick, doesn't work out for him. And it goes out for a corner kick. May well have taken a little nick off the outside of the boot of Nick Pope, but it was another mesmerising run from Phil Foden down the right hand side.
Just got a toe on it, didn't he? His right peg. Brilliant running again. He's full of energy. Fitness levels top draw from Phil Foden.
Yeah, I think people now are encouraging Manchester City to spend. Jeremy Doku is a possibility from Rennes. You've mentioned Danny Olmo, another one who they've been looking at. We'll see what happens over the next couple of weeks. But they do look as if they need reinforcements.
Yeah, I agree.
Corner kick away to our left-hand side. Haaland's drawn a blank so far tonight, but there's still time for him to get his customary goal here. He did get so many last season, 35 goals in 26 home games last campaign. Here is Alvarez back into the centre, not going to reach anybody, and that's into Nick Pope. So 5 minutes of added time at the end of the 90, 5 minutes for a potential Newcastle equaliser, or for City to double their lead. Walker does well to go over and receive the ball ahead of Callum Wilson, who just ran into an offside position. 5 minutes of added time. 5 minutes for 3 points for Manchester City. 5 minutes for Newcastle to attack.
I think when Newcastle's attacked, a lot of it is going direct. Obviously, you've got forwards who've got speed on that top line, playing on the shoulder, anticipating and trying, just gambling into them. I think at times Newcastle need to mix it up and just get maybe Anderson in that little number 10 position and just link it a little bit now and again, rather than going straight and direct all the time.
Look, City haven't got their legs yet. They're not 100% up to speed. Pep doesn't like to get them up to speed just yet anyway, but they're such a brilliant football team that they're going to win this match unless they give away a goal in the last few minutes, because they've got the talent. Walker has gone long out towards the right hand side, picked the ball up and kept them in possession. Newcastle United, you can't really complain about the way they've approached the game, because ultimately they've thrown everything at it to try and get an equaliser.
I just think in the opening 5-10 minutes, for me, ask a lot of questions of Manchester City, see if they are tired and they fancy this fight. I just think they went into it a little bit too passive.
Certainly trying to create opportunities in the second half. Haven't really had to do too much though. Edison between the sticks away to our right hand side. What's the one save I think he's had to make so far in the game?
Yeah.
1-0 to Manchester City. Alvarez's goal is going to win them the match. 5 minutes of added time are being played, and we're into the second of those. And City have scored in each of their last 29, now 30 Premier League games against Newcastle. Newcastle only lost 5 games all of last season in the Premier League. Shows how good City are, because Newcastle are still going to be a team, I think, to be reckoned with over the course of the campaign.
It's just, and listen, we got the draw for the Champions League group stages, 31st of August. What happens when they have to start playing them games as well? Have they got the depth? That's all my concern is about Newcastle, because to a man, they have got a good side, and they've got players that can affect games, and they've got goal scorers and all the rest of it. I think they've got the perfect foundation to have a successful team. Have they got enough depth to be able to go on all fronts? FA Cup, Carabao Cup.
Well, Eddie Howe and Jason Tyndall, Dan Ashworth, the recruitment expert, might try to do one more deal between now and the end of the... In fact, Eddie Howe said no more deals, hasn't he now? He said that's it.
Yeah,
they're finished. Yeah. I mean, listen, the FFP is going to stop them from doing any more, I think, actually. But they've got some young players that have done well, actually, in the pre-season tour, like Lewis Miley, who hasn't been involved with the first team yet this campaign.
And Hall is to come yet.
And Lewis Hall should be done, yes, that was the deal I was referring to. I knew there was something else.
He's not just a fullback, because he can play wing back, he can play in midfield, so he's kind of an adaptable player. Yeah, it's obvious that.
Phil Foden has been announced as the man of the match in the stadium. The City take the ball to the corner and try to run the clock down. And then when a corner through Erling Haaland playing it against Livramento's legs, the game feels as if it's sort of petering out really with 90 seconds to go, but Phil Foden's not allowing that to happen.
No, that's a compliment to the players and the messages that are coming from the technical area, from the manager. Manage this game, keep possession and just run the clock down.
Haaland trying to send it centrally to Alvarez. They keep it inside the Newcastle half of the field. Guardiola into Haaland. Rodri flipping it over the top. Foden looking menacing once again. Botman steers the ball out towards the near side. Trippier tries to take on Foden, plays it against him. It's a goal kick away to our left, and Newcastle want to rush this ball forward and push everybody up the pitch. They play it short into Bruno Guimaraes plays it back to the left, and then Cher will come out with it. He likes to play a lot of long passes, Cher. He gets one out towards Livramento, pops the ball into the air, lifts it forward. Grealish positions himself between ball and man. It comes off Longstaff. It's going to be a throw-in. And Guardiola is told by Guardiola. Their names so very similar in spelling, it's unbelievable. They're both called Josep Guardiola. It's very close. Look at it on paper, it's quite foxing really. Guardiola throws it down the touchline.
Good choice of words.
It's into Guimaraes, who tries to send it over the top for Wilson to chase. Ederson will get there first. He will shank it into the evening sky. Goes out for a throw in. They want to get it moving quickly here. And it's going to be Trippier to take it. Is there one last attack? 94 minutes and 45 seconds on the clock here. Is this going to be the end of the game? It's played up to Bruno Guimaraes, who turns and plays it back in towards this near touchline. Trippier needs to get it forward. He's gone back to the halfway line. Botman needs to thrust it upfield. City want the whistle to be blown. We've played 95 minutes. Rob Jones continues. It's Elliot Anderson for Newcastle. He's not going to be able to go any further. That's the end of the game. And Manchester City break another record. 17 consecutive home wins in all competitions, the most they have ever managed as a club, after beating Newcastle on this Saturday evening by a solitary goal to nil. The goal coming after 32 minutes from Julian Alvarez, his first of the season. It was some finish from the edge of the box after being set up by the man of the match, Phil Foden, who was terrific in every capacity. But Manchester City are the victors, and the Toon have now lost 15 straight games in the Premier League against the City side, who once again have shown their class. Newcastle's hope and aims for the season may have just taken a little bit of a hit, but they did compete with Manchester City in this game. That turnaround from the Super Cup, after all, wasn't too detrimental. It's finished at the Etihad Stadium. Manchester City 1, Newcastle United 0.